You walk into a room and forget why you came in. You pick up your phone, and a second later, you don't remember what you were about to do. In moments like that, it feels like something's wrong with your memory. But the truth is, this doesn't happen by accident. And more than that, your brain is actually doing it on purpose. We tend to think that forgetting is a mistake, that our brain is failing us. But in reality, it's the opposite. If you never forgot anything, you wouldn't be able to function normally. To understand why, imagine for a second that you remember absolutely everything. Every conversation, every sound, every word, every face. Sounds cool, right? It's not. People like this actually exist, and they have a problem. Their brain can't filter out what's unnecessary. Because of that, it's harder for them to make decisions, focus, and even live a normal life. Their brain is overloaded. That's because memory isn't a storage system. It's a process. When you remember something, your brain creates connections between neurons, but those connections aren't permanent. If you don't use the information, they slowly weaken, and your brain deletes it. Not because it can't keep it, but because it's not efficient to. This idea was studied back in the 19th century by a German psychologist named Hermann Ebbinghaus. He actually ran experiments on himself. He memorized meaningless syllables so that meaning wouldn't affect the results. Then he tested how much he remembered over time. The results were surprising. After just 20 minutes, he forgot about 40% of the information. After an hour, more than half. After a day, only about 20 to 30% remained. This is known as the forgetting curve. Your brain gets rid of what it sees as unnecessary very quickly. But sometimes, it's not about forgetting. Sometimes, you never actually remembered it. For example, you put your keys down while thinking about something else. Your brain doesn't register the moment, so later it feels like you forgot. But in reality, that memory was never stored in the first place. Now here's one of the strangest experiences. When a word is on the tip of your tongue, you know that you know it. You might even remember the first letter, but you just can't say it. So what's happening? Memory in your brain isn't stored like a single file. It's a network. Different parts of information are stored in different places. How the word sounds, what it means, the context associations. When you try to recall it, your brain has to bring all of this together. And sometimes, it doesn't fully connect. Part of the information activates, but not all of it. Studies show that in these moments, the areas related to meaning are active, but the areas responsible for sound aren't fully triggered. That's why it feels like you almost remember. But here's something even more surprising. Your memory isn't always accurate, and it can actually change. In the 1970s, psychologist Elizabeth Loftus conducted a famous series of experiments in the US. Participants watched a video of a car accident. After that, they were asked questions, but with a small difference. Some were asked, how fast were the cars going when they hit each other? Others were asked, how fast were the cars going when they smashed into each other? And that small change was enough. People who heard smashed estimated higher speeds and even remembered broken glass, even though there was none in the video. This experiment showed something important. Memory is not a recording. It's a reconstruction. Every time you remember something, your brain slightly rewrites it. At the center of all this is the hippocampus, a structure deep in the temporal lobe of the brain. Its main job is to turn short-term memories into long-term ones. In simple terms, you experience something, and the hippocampus decides whether to store it or not. One of the most famous cases in neuroscience is a patient named Henry Molaison, known as HM. In 1953, in the United States, he underwent brain surgery to treat severe epilepsy. Doctors removed part of his brain, including the hippocampus. The surgery helped his seizures, but something unexpected happened. He lost the ability to form new memories. He could talk. He could remember his past, but anything new would disappear within minutes. Every conversation felt like the first time. This case became one of the strongest pieces of evidence showing how important the hippocampus is for memory. There's another major factor that affects forgetting: stress. When you're stressed, your body releases cortisol. In small amounts, it can actually improve memory. But under chronic stress, it starts to damage the hippocampus. And because of that, it becomes harder to store information, harder to recall things, and memory becomes less accurate. And finally, sleep. When you sleep, your brain doesn't shut down. It actually processes your entire day, strengthening important memories, removing unnecessary ones, simplifying information. That's why after a good night's sleep, you often remember things better. And here's the main takeaway. You don't forget because your memory is bad. You forget because your brain is efficient. Forgetting is not a bug. It's a system. It helps you free up space, think more clearly, and make better decisions. Like, subscribe, and don't miss the next mind-blowing fact about your body.